just got so quiet.
I have the mic on and we're on air.
Did you just get something?
No.
I think there's one another button.
My signal isn't that good.
There we go. It's on.
Yep, there it goes. Live stream.
There you go, let's go. Okay.
Maybe it was just the two buttons.
All right. Now here's what we have to do. I'm going to verify that the people at home can hear us, because this is our second time using this technology. So I want to make sure that the people at home can hear us and everything is good to go before we begin our meeting.
YouTube?
No, I think the other one, the key might be for recording.
Okay.
The thumb drive.
Yeah, which I'm not exactly sure if we have that.
Because it says key, that's what I think.
Oh, I guess I can just, if I go here, I can.
I took a picture.
All right, good.
I thought you took a
That's
picture too.
All right, we're good to go. Okay, at this time, I would like to call to order the February Village Board meeting. And if you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk, please call roll.
Trustee Howie?
Yep.
Trustee Cellier?
Here.
Attorney Buckeye?
Here.
Mayor Dwyer?
Here.
There's two absent, Trustee Clifford and Trustee Kelm.
Okay, thank you. I have two announcements for the Village Board. We noticed that the Enhanced Star relief deadline is March 1st. If you are over the 65 or older and make less than $93,000 a year and own a home, and your primary residence where you own that home is the state of New York, you qualify for an Enhanced Star property relief. The difference between the Enhanced Star and the regular Star is that you must reapply every single year for the Enhanced Star. And the deadline to do so is March 1st. If you want to check to see if you're enrolled or enroll yourself, you should contact the Town of Warwick tax assessor at 845-986-1123. You're talking the difference between $500 to $1,000 in property tax relief just by enrolling in this program. So it's a very wise thing to do. We have the village election, which is on March 21st, 2023, and that is from 12 p.m. until 9 p.m. at the Greenwood Lake Senior Center, which I believe is 123 Windermere Avenue. And that is for the election of a mayor, 2 trustees, plus 1 year, one-year trustee, as well as the village justice for a 4-year term. And that election is March 21st. The village board had a workshop right before this meeting where we went through all of the details of this agenda, and basically what we're going to do now at the village board meeting is state whatever determinations have been made or decisions have been made in the agenda. But basically it was my opportunity to share with the village board updates on what I'm working on, what the village offices are working on, and various other staff, and updates on grants and projects and things like that. So, some correspondence that we've received: a water bill, letter in the account reference 31812673. This is a water bill that was, through no fault of the owner, elevated, and they were able to show proof that it was elevated not through their own fault. Our water operator went out there, verified, and it was within our policy to waive a portion of their water bill. And just so people understand what that means is, let's say you go to Italy for a month, and you come home, your pipes burst, and you used $5,000 worth of water. If you're able to show that this was caused not through something that you did, but even if it was accidental, something happened. If you can show proof that this is a unique circumstance, nothing was done illegally, and it is the first and only time that this has happened, we will consider waiving half of your water usage bill to accommodate to these unusual circumstances. So hopefully people understand that we will do that, and we did receive one that had requested of the village board such a waiver, and the village board is inclined to grant that. We will pass a resolution later this evening to do so. We received a notice from the owner of Freedom Marina, which is the old Long Pond Marina on Jersey Avenue. They are applying to the New York State Liquor Authority for a liquor license, and part of their process is they have to send the village board a notice and give us an opportunity to comment on that if we either want to object or support or do nothing, which would be basically the same thing as supporting. We have that opportunity to do that. The village board has no objection at this time, so we will let the process continue. Orange County Department of Planning sent us an IMA, a proposed IMA, which, so the public is aware, we have a planning board, a village planning board that's made up of appointed members from the community, and they review planning board applications. And oftentimes, the planning board will send the application to the Orange County Planning Department for their review and their consideration to ensure that whatever we're doing in the village of Greenwood Lake complies with the county's comprehensive plan. The county, they didn't just send this letter to us, assuming that we're sending them too many applications. The county sent to every municipality within Orange County a proposed IMA that gives us a set of guidelines and essentially suggests that we not send every single application to the Orange County Planning Department, but rather sending only the applications where their contributions would be meaningful. So this is something that we will share with the Village of Greenwood Lake Planning Board, our planning board attorney and planning board engineer, and let them provide the comments as to whether or not they agree with this IMA. And if they do, then they will send it back to us, and we will enter into the contract with the Orange County Department of Planning to have this agreement where we're essentially reducing the number of applications that are sent to their department. Another correspondence that we received is Orange County Resolution number 6 of 2023, which essentially changes the sales tax contracts that the county has with the 3 cities within the county, which are the cities of Newburgh, Middletown, and Port Jervis. Has really no bearing on the Village of Greenwood Lake, but it is a notice that they had to send to every single town and village within the county. We received a letter from the New York State Department of Transportation regarding ADA sidewalks and ramps in western Orange County. And as I said at the last board meeting, it had been indicated to me by the DOT, not formally, but through conversation, that they intended to take over ownership of the sidewalks and actually make investments in Greenwood Lake to upgrade the sidewalks and make more of the ramps ADA compliant, just as we have been doing essentially their job for the last 10 years. The state DOT is taking ownership over the sidewalks, and they plan on making great investments into the community, upgrading the sidewalks and the ramps within the state DOT right-of-way. There's another letter that we got from the American Legion here in Greenwood Lake, which is the Welcome Home Vietnam Era Veterans and Surviving Family Members. There is an event happening. Where's the rest of my packet? April 1st, 2023 from 2 to 4 p.m. and this is going to be at the Newburgh Armory, 321 South William Street, Newburgh, New York. And this is a really great honor to recognize our Vietnam-era veterans and their surviving family members. So anybody interested in attending, you certainly may do so. Visiting elected officials, with us we have our councilman, Floyd D'Angelo. We thank you for coming tonight.
Good evening. I don't have anything because I just returned from 2 days of class at the Association of Towns.
That's right. Did you learn anything good there, Floyd?
Absolutely. It's very good.
We're going to have a quiz for you tomorrow.
Okay.
Good. Very good. Well, thank you for always coming to our board meetings. Department heads, Police Chief Adam Iron.
Good evening, all.
Hold on. What we're going to do is we're going to try something new. I want you to come all the way up here. Because one of the comments we got was that nobody from the our viewers couldn't hear it.
In the front, though. Not over the
No, if he's right
So where
here.
am I going?
You are perfect right where you are.
Right here? Good evening. How is everybody? The Greenwood Lake Police Department for January 2023 handled 972 complaints, made 8 arrests, issued 119 traffic summonses, issued 2 parking summonses, and handled 2 motor vehicle accidents. Our Marine Unit Reimbursement Grant was completed, audited, and verbally approved. Our DASNY grant, all paperwork is in and complete. We're just awaiting for finalization from the state. Our New York State accreditation assessment is scheduled for early October of 2023. Greenwood Lake Little League Opening day is Saturday, April 22nd. The parade is slated for 0900 hours. It starts on Windermere Avenue. Expect some delays. Registration is open, so I encourage everybody to go to the website and register. Greenwood Lake Fire Department Centennial Parade and Celebration is slated to take place on May 13th, 2023. Expect morning delays due to road closures. We expect that to be a pretty big parade. We did hire a new part-time police officer who successfully completed the academy. Michael Harrell, we are very happy to have him on board. So congratulations, Michael. And we are recommending and seeking approval for 2 candidates to the Orange County Police Academy in May, Ryan Smith and Matthew Reynolds. And that is the end of my report.
Very good. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Now Phil gets to come in the hot seat. Come on, Phil. Everybody at home wants to hear about the flux capacitors in our water treatment process.
Good evening, everybody. For the month of January, the department has remained busy with daily, weekly, and monthly sampling and testing. We are pleased to report that recorded TOC levels seem to be stabilizing at pre-drawdown levels, and we have recorded 2 consecutive quarters of THM levels that are well within compliance. Other than utility markouts, some water shutoffs, and meter repairs, things have been relatively quiet out in the distribution system. Last week's cold snap brought us an incident at the treatment plant that involved some meters freezing up and some busted plumbing in our polymer station. Everything was thawed and repaired and back in normal operation. The village seems to be having a much better than average winter for water loss due to undetected leaks from busted water lines, meters, and plumbing in unoccupied homes. And lastly, the county health department conducted their annual inspection today. We should have reports sometime next week, and we'll address any and all issues listed in the report. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Great. Thanks, Phil.
And next week, meters.
Next week.
Reading.
meters.
All righty?
Fine.
Thank you.
We did order another microphone. It's on back order. When is it coming? Couple months, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
We ordered a wireless microphone that's supposed to be out there for the audience. So this will have to do for now. We appreciate you guys coming up here and doing that. Floyd, did you want to come up and talk into the microphone? Okay.
I share my microphone with everybody. So.
He's not selfish. All right, we're going to go into commission reports. Trustee Clifford as well as Trustee Kelm are absent tonight. They've had great records of attending meetings, so we will forgive them for being absent tonight. Trustee Howley, your report, please.
I'll be very brief. Like the chief of police said, we're always looking for new part-time officers, whether they be young officers looking to start a career or older officers looking to go into the sunset. But we're always looking. Switching gears, spoke a little bit last month. It's February, but the beach season for the village board and the planning stages has already begun. We will be having a lifeguard fair, I believe, March 25th at the old, what do they call it now? At the old Cuts Camp, what's the name of it?
It's Mountain Lakes Park.
Mountain Lakes Park with the town of Warwick. We'll be joint venturing our endeavors as far as lifeguards go. We'll be sharing. And we need that to happen because there still is a lifeguard shortage. And our goal is to keep the beach and the pool up in Warwick running safely and running throughout Labor Day. So that's where we're at now, and I'll have a lot more for you next month. That concludes my report.
Now, it is very difficult for Trustee Howley to provide a report because everyone that he is the liaison to ends up coming to the meetings and providing their reports. So
Yes.
we appreciate your contributions, Trustee Howley. Trustee Sellier, your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My report will cover activity in the month of January, starting with the building department, which took in $10,094, so starting off the year with a strong number. This is reflected in sort of 3 areas: short-term registrations, actual building permits, so that's new projects, and annual rental inspections. Makes up a little over 50% of the amount that we took in the month of January. The planning board did meet in the month of January. There were 2 applications, 50 Linden Avenue and the Garden Center. Those are continuing applications. Nothing resolved at that meeting, so they will move to future dockets, if you will. The zoning board did not meet in the month of January, and that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you. Attorney Buckett, your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. As I typically say, my report is largely confidential. However, it's been distributed to the members of the Board of Trustees, and I'm prepared to answer any questions.
You can discuss what you worked on with the proposed law, because I don't have that in my agenda, so that's something that you put together.
We have
If you
noticed.
just move the mic a little bit closer. It bends, you can bend it down a little. There you go.
Now, the building inspector and the other members of the building department had pointed out some issues in the village code which should require some tightening up, and we've agreed to do so. I'm preparing draft legislation, which at the next month we'll be having a public hearing. The first of which deals with the stop work orders. We have language in our village code which explains when the building inspector can issue a stop work order, but we don't have any language as to what would allow him to rescind a stop work order. So we're going to do that. Additionally, we're probably going to assess a fee in order to rescind a stop work order. Also, we want to clarify with regard to fines in village court that fines will be in an amount set by a resolution of the village board of trustees. Finally, there's some notice issues when people make application to the planning board where we state notice requirements, but we have vague timelines as to when the notification process by which it needs to be accomplished. So we're going to clarify those up. We're preparing the draft legislation. It'll be distributed to the members of the Board of Trustees, and we'll anticipate, in coordination with the next village board meeting, having a public hearing to take in the input from the public with regard to same. So I'm losing my voice.
Thank you, John. Clerk Holder, your report, please. I was very close to.
You were.
Very close. I was about to.
He was. We've just been busy with submitting lots of paperwork for the different grants and reimbursement back for the grants and CHIPS, and also we are preparing to have Phil go back out to do reader readings next week, and water bills will be going out the following week. And we're also working on a mailing, which the mayor will talk about later on in our meeting. Anything else? If anybody needs anything, please contact us at Village Hall, 845-477-9215. Thank you very much.
I love that the chief is watching the Facebook live stream right now from the audience. Do you have a microphone, a thing in your ear? All right, moving on to old business. Beach passes. You can buy your beach passes for the 2023 beach season right now online by going to the Village of Greenwood Lake website at villageofgreenwoodlake.org or Greenwood Lake, GWLNY.org, which is a shortened version of that very long URL. And if you were to buy your pass right now before March 31st, it will be the same exact price as if you were to buy your pass 3 or 4 years ago. There has been no increase in the beach passes except for Airbnb, short-term rentals, and commercial establishments. But all residential beach passes are the same price as they always were. And as has been the case for the last 2 years, this is a residents-only beach. When I say residents-only, that includes the people of Greenwood Lake, people of the Village of Florida, people of the Village of Warwick, people of Pine Island, anyone who lives or works in the town of Warwick. That also includes if you work in the Warwick Valley Central School District, if you work in the Greenwood Lake School District, if you work at John Claude's and you commute from West Milford, you are included as what we consider to be a resident because you're somehow involved or connected to our town and to our community. You will have an opportunity to buy a beach pass for the season at a residents-only rate, which there is only one rate. If you choose to buy your pass after June 1st or on June 1st or thereafter, the price increases and it nearly doubles. So we strongly recommend that you buy your pass as soon as possible or at least before June 1st. Orange County Tourism Grant, as was mentioned at the last meeting, we applied for a grant of $4,999 through Orange County to support this year's fireworks display. I did receive an email from Orange County Tourism on Friday indicating that they approved our grant. and just needed some more paperwork, but everything is good on that end, and we'll move forward. So that we appreciate the county's support. They're obviously seeing increased sales tax revenue as a result of just the great growth that has occurred all throughout the county, Legoland, and the sales tax coming in from Woodbury Commons and the various other aspects. So the county's doing well. They're sharing the money with the local municipalities, and we certainly appreciate that. Dedication of Centennial Park. We had to back up, we have a Centennial Planning Committee that is planning the events of the 2024 celebration of our 100-year anniversary. And 1924 was when the village of Greenwood Lake was incorporated as a New York State municipality. That is when our government began to operate, and 2024 will mark 100 years. We have a Centennial Committee, which is a formed 501c3 nonprofit. They can raise money, they can coordinate events, and they are authorized by the Village of Greenwood Lake to do so. But essentially, they are planning the events for and on our behalf. It was mentioned at a Centennial Planning Committee meeting that we name a park or do something to recognize and memorialize this remarkable occasion, our 100-year anniversary. And we had come up with the idea, since the area known as Lions Field, the area by the DPW, is the park is not called Lions Field. One of the fields is called Lions Field. Another field is called Francis Field. And then you have a playground, which is unnamed, and then you have a parking area and a nice knoll, grassy knoll, where people can hang out on. Did I say grassy knoll?
You certainly did.
It's a JFK reference for some reason. But it's really an unnamed park. And we thought it would be a nice idea to name the entire complex, the entire park, Centennial Park. And what this will do is provide an opportunity not only to memorialize our centennial, but it'll also provide an opportunity for people to purchase brick pavers and for the committee to use this as an opportunity to make something of the park that will last forever. So we decided as a board that we would move forward in renaming or naming for the very first time that entire park, that complex, which is at the end of Elm Street, which includes Lions Field, it includes Francis Field, and it includes a playground. We will be naming that Centennial Park in honor of our 100-year anniversary. So, very cool thing. Very excited about what the Centennial Committee is putting together and the hard work and the wonderful committee that we have that's working very hard on all of this great stuff. Really, 2024 is going to be a great year. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm kind of sad that I won't be mayor for that process, but looking forward to serving the community from a different angle. But I am the president of the Centennial Planning Committee, so I will still be involved very much in the process, and I'm certainly not going to disappear from it. So. Centennial Park, Village Board supports it, and at the next board meeting we will pass a resolution commemorating the occasion, and then we will look for some more details coming out of the Centennial Committee as to what their plans will be for that park. Now, obviously, anything that they do will have to be approved by the Village Board. They can't start building pavilions or renaming portions of the park without our approval. It still is Village of Greenwood Lake property, but it will be Centennial Park. Waterstone Sidewalk, we got a grant from Orange County Community Development for ADA compliance to construct a brand new sidewalk and curbing on Waterstone Road, which will connect a previously grant-funded sidewalk that went from the bridge to the gazebo. This grant-funded sidewalk will go from that portion at the gazebo and will connect right into the ambulance corps sidewalk. That process should begin, the actual construction process should begin early to mid-summer. We just completed the survey of the property. We hired a surveying company. They've completed the survey, and right now we're working on finalized plans. And once I get those plans, I want to go to the neighbors, the people who live on that road, because there are mailboxes there, there's some drainage there, and some other things. And I just wanted to make sure that they're okay with what we're planning on doing, just to kind of make the process easier. We want to make sure that by the time we get the funds from Orange County Community Development, and they say we can start, we have completed and approved plans that the village has approved and the residents are okay with. So that project is moving forward and going well. Benjamin Steakhouse, I noticed a post or a comment on Facebook of someone who I guess, had an inside track to Benjamin's to know that they weren't going to continue, but that's completely false. Benjamin Steakhouse is planning on continuing. They just spent tens of thousands of dollars getting Department of Health approval for a absolutely incredible septic design that they put together. That has been recently completed and approved, and now they're moving forward with the next steps, which are Village of Greenwood Lake approvals. They couldn't even begin the planning board process without a Department of Health approval on that septic design. It would be a waste of everybody's time if they had begun the process with us. So at this point, they're going to start with the planning board. They'll have one meeting there, and then they will be immediately referred to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a few very minor variances that they will seek to obtain. Now, just every single resident in the neighboring area will receive a letter that is sent out which indicates the dates of the meetings, as well as what variances are being sought by Benjamins, and they will have an opportunity to attend the zoning board meetings and provide comments and feedback if they wish. So Benjamin Steakhouse is most definitely moving forward. It was put on delay as a result of the bureaucratic process, which is natural, which was held up in the Department of Health. But I'm not saying that the Department of Health did anything wrong. It's a highly complex situation. You're putting a hotel and a restaurant right on a lake that does not have a sewer system. Very, very complex, and I hope people understand that that's not an easy thing to do, but they have successfully come up with engineered plans that will accommodate the needs of our lake and ensure that this is something that can sustain itself in an environmentally friendly way for a very long period of time, and they have done so, and we're happy to support them on that. Marine PD funding from New York State, the Chief of Police mentioned briefly in his report, but the actual dollar amount that is being reimbursed by the state of New York after many years of fighting is going to be 50% of our total expenses relating to Marine PD. That's the boat cops, in other words. During COVID, we noticed, I would say, a double, if not more, of boat traffic on our lake, and we found a significant need to increase our boat police presence because most of these people had never boated on Greenwood Lake. Most of these people had never boated before. They buy a beautiful brand new boat with money I don't know where they get during COVID, but everyone seemed to have a brand new boat. And they came to our lake, which was one of the closest and best lakes to New York City, and they chose this to be their summer location to hang out and have fun, which we welcome and we think is a great thing. But it certainly taxed our resources within the police department. We were certainly out there doing many more safety checks and finding the need during weekdays to be out there patrolling the lake more so than we'd ever had before. So we were creative and we fought hard with the chief and the village clerk's office, and even working with Senator Martucci, Assemblyman Carl Brabenik, Senator Skoufis even got involved, and to ensure that we had access to needed funding from the state of New York. And we navigated this process, and now we have a commitment from the state of New York to provide 50% of our marine police expenses indefinitely. So every year we have to apply, which the chief has already applied for this year, and he has been approved after an audit, and we're expecting to get a check from the state for $37,267. And obviously with that, we can continue to grow our navigation unit on the lake and respond to the needs of our boating community and the residents who live on the lake that want to enjoy it peacefully as well. LED streetlight conversion. At our last board meeting, we had approved a proposal to purchase all of our streetlights from Orange and Rockland and simultaneously convert them to LED streetlights. Now what this does, it saves us money because we're essentially not paying for the electricity through O&R. We can contract out and save money on that end, but also it gives us greater opportunity to buy in bulk LED streetlights. And the LED streetlight will save us an exponential amount of money over years. The return on investment is less than 10 years, and then after that 10 years, we save thousands of dollars annually going forward. So it was a no-brainer to get out of the business of renting streetlights from Orange and Rockland, and we're going to own our own streetlights in the village of Greenwood Lake, and they will all be converted to LED within 1 year. Police chief contract, we're going to go into executive session again this year. If you were following along at the last meeting, we said that we were going into executive session to review his contract, and we would come out and vote. We did not vote. The village board just wanted to review it. It is not an incredibly lengthy document, but it is a new contract because we had previously had a part-time police chief. We now have a full-time police chief who is a working chief who actually does shifts. I was on an ambulance call today, and I show up to the call, and there's our chief of police lifting someone off of the ground, something we haven't seen in a very, very long time. So we have our contract review that we will continue to work on in executive session tonight. And we will keep the public apprised of what we decide. Budget workshop. This is new business now. I feel like the columns are so far over. It's all right. These columns are so far. It's hard for me to see. All right. Budget workshop. It is the time of year where we put together our budget. We get all of our budget components from our departments, our police department, our senior center, our court, water department, buildings, parks and grounds, and we take all of that information and we put it together into a tentative budget, which the village board works on, the village clerks work on, everybody works on to put together a responsible budget that meets the needs of the community, keeps and maintains services while also ensuring that our taxes stay in check. It is an incredibly difficult process. I got a text just before the meeting. We were in negotiations with our garbage contractor. They originally came in at something like 10% increase. Then now they're down to 6.5%. I said, no, I'm sorry. We can't exceed 2%. We have a tax cap that we have to stay by. And just think, so when medical insurance costs are increasing at 15%, garbage is increasing at 6.5%, contractual costs with DPW are increasing at 2-3%. We have to stay within 2%. So what does that mean? We have to cut. You have to cut, or you can find creative solutions such as navigation funding to offset costs of providing government services. You can look for grants such as the Waterstone Sidewalk Grant, where it allows you to invest in infrastructure. You can find $3 million grants to support our water department. You really have been forced to come up with creative solutions to fund these projects and government in general, because costs are rising constantly for every single thing that we do, whether it's pouring concrete or providing fuel in our vehicles, buying tires. Every single thing has increased, and every single thing is increased at a rate greater than 2%, which is our tax cap, which is complete nonsense, because the town of Warwick, for example, had to send out a mailer at the government's request to notify people of something that was so arbitrary. It was for 65-year and older residents, but they had to send it to everybody, which included me, a 37-year-old. I had to get a postcard from the town of Warwick that included a stamp paid for by taxpayers. This is called an unfunded mandate. Now, the government constantly gives us unfunded mandates while at the same time constraining us to a 2% tax cap. It's unfair and it's unreasonable, and it forces us to work 10 times harder to provide the same services that our residents rely on. And I hope that something changes, but I hate to say it probably won't. All right, moving on. Centennial Committee funds. So as I discussed earlier, our Centennial Committee is working very hard on providing a wonderful celebration of history and just kind of cataloging all of the great achievements and hardships that the village of Greenwood Lake and our area has gone through over the past 100 years. And they want to make this a really great year-long event of highlighting everything and celebrating everything, doing reenactments of our incorporation, where there was a debate on the floor and they had a vote which was very controversial between two organizations, both sides, one wanting to incorporate and pave roads and provide services, and the other side saying, we don't need government, more layers of government getting in our way and taxing us for things that we don't need. So if you put yourself in their shoes during that time, it was a very interesting debate that took place as to whether or not we should have a village. And the Centennial Committee is going to have a reenactment of that board meeting, or that community meeting that took place 100 years ago, and kind of hopefully get some really great actors to illustrate the excitement that took place on both sides. We want to have fireworks. We want to have a parade. We want to have monthly activities and fairs and different things to really bring people together and show a lot of the people who don't understand the history and the rich character and the rich history that we have in the community, show everybody and make them realize what we really, what made Greenwood Lake who we are today. And it is quite an interesting thing when you really get into the history of our community. So to that end, I have asked the village board to provide $2,500 to the Centennial Planning Committee as essentially seed money to help the committee get off of the ground and begin developing their marketing material and basically start. The Centennial Committee is a functioning 501c3. We had Natalia Fisher, who is a wonderful local CPA, volunteer and donate her time to form the incorporation of this 501c3. So the committee is fully operational with officers and a treasurer, and I think we meet like 5 times a month between all of the committees there are. There are about 10 committees, and there are meetings all throughout the month. We're a year away. We're a little bit less than a year away, and people on this committee are literally meeting every single week in the Village of Greenwood Lake. If you want to get involved on the Centennial Committee or one of its subcommittees, you can shoot me an email, jdwyer85@gmail.com. I'm not going to give my mayor email address because it'll be inactive in about 45 days. Or someone else will get it, and they probably will send it to me anyway and not know what to do with it. So if you want to get on the committee, you can either email the clerk, vcmgwl@gmail.com, or you can email me at my personal email, jdwyer85@gmail.com. And yes, 85 was the year I was born, for those of you who are wondering. So the village board did approve the seed money, if you will, for the committee of $2,500, which will help us really get things off of the ground and rocking and rolling. So I appreciate the village board and their support, and it was I think it'll go to great use for a really great cause. Willow Point liquor license application. As was noted in the correspondence, we received a letter from Freedom Marina, which is right next to Willow Point, both seeking kind of informal approval from the village board to move forward with applying to the New York State Liquor Authority for a liquor license. It's kind of cool. I mean, it shows the investments that are being made. You have 2 marinas on our lake, both invested a lot of money over the last year. Both are considering expanding and providing more services and more places for people to go and attract residents to the community. So we've got Willow Point, which invested just so many great things, really transformed that property and cleaned it up from where it was, did a great job at that. And then right next door, Freedom Marina, which is the old Long Pond Marina, which had the best fried chicken. You get a fried chicken and a basket of French fries. Do you remember doing that on the boat? Long Pond Marina. Remember, it was notorious for that. So everybody who comes there, I said, just bring back the fried chicken and the basket of fries. Well, apparently they're going to bring back alcohol too, which is also fun. But I really want the fried chicken.
No, I worked at Willow Point in the snack shack.
Did you?
Snack shack.
I never went there in my life. Didn't know it
great.
existed.
Friday nights, they used to have a one-man band.
Man,
It was good.
I love Willow Point, and I never knew that snack shack existed until like 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, had no idea. It's like, wow, where has this been all my life?
There.
I would go to Long Pond when I had a boat. As a kid, we would go to Long
We used
Pond
to
and get the
play
chicken.
on Friday nights.
Well, apparently not for me.
Well, you were
I guess
gone.
I was too young for that.
I think it was gone by the time you were born.
I think so. Not by the time I was born, but maybe by the time I was 21.
Maybe.
Because I waited until I was 21 to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
All right, Jersey Avenue sidewalk upgrades. As I think I mentioned in our correspondence, that the DOT is planning on upgrading several sidewalks within the community. They will begin with the Jersey Avenue sidewalk located between Wilson Street and Felter Street in front of Nassim's. One of their main priorities after I met with them last year was that a lot of our crosswalks didn't make sense. The crosswalk in front of Nassim certainly doesn't make sense as it goes into his driveway. There's another crosswalk that is DOT regulated and controlled that in front of Quick Mart, which goes into a curb after it goes through a drain. So you have to go through the drain and then into the curb and then get onto the sidewalk. So the DOT has recognized that there are some issues with their sidewalks, and they have taken ownership. So I just wanted to mention to the village board that we will have the DOT begin work, I think in April, on the Jersey Avenue sidewalks. Mike Vesley, bury a new time capsule. We will absolutely be burying a new time capsule. So that was another thing about the Centennial Committee. We have a time capsule that's located right out front. And what's really cool is we got a call today. I'm going to read this because it's actually, it's really, really cool. One of the things that as a part of the time capsule, we found, reading old newspapers, that there is a list of people who, when they buried the 50-year anniversary in 1974, a list of people put items in the time capsule, and they're supposed to come forward for the 100-year anniversary and be present for the opening of that time capsule. So at our last centennial meeting, we're like, how in the world are we going to figure out who these people are that are supposed to come forward? We spent probably 45 minutes racking our brains about how this happens, and they're saying, well, there's got to be a list somewhere. There's got to be. I said, no. We've gone through everything in Village Hall and in our storage rooms. There's nothing that says anything about who to contact. So we just so happen to receive a call today at Village Hall from Kathleen. This is an email she sent to me. I received a phone call from an individual whose name will remain anonymous, whose children placed items in the time capsule. He would like to know when it will be opened and would like to be present. He attended the 50th anniversary of the village centennial. His grandfather is the one who was buried up at Dead Man's Pond. He will be dead 100 years in 1924. So for those of you who know where Dead Man's Pond is and have been there fishing or hiking around it and always wondered to yourself, why is it called Dead Man's Pond? I think it's called Dead Man's Pond because of this person whose grandfather was buried there 100 years.
He said, he goes, yeah, and my grandfather's buried at the top of Sylvan Park. I go, you mean at Dead Man's Pond? And he goes, I never knew that's what the name was.
Well, it
until
probably wasn't.
Recently.
Yeah.
I go, yeah. I said, well, that's where everybody in Lakelands and Sylvan Park used to go skating on that pond when we were younger. I go, and we all saw his tombstone, and his horse is actually buried right next to him.
So mystery solved, and two mysteries were solved. One mystery was that we hoped, I mean, the only way it could really happen is if people just come forward and say they were a part of it. We think that certified letters were mailed to these individuals that are on the list of who should be present for the 2024 opening. And we believe that they will have that certified letter that says 2024, you have to come back to Greenwood Lake August 18th for the opening, which happens to be my birthday. So the opening is to be done on August 18th, 2024. And the first person just came forward and said that their kids were one of the kids who put stuff in there, and they're supposed to be there for the opening. So very cool. Really is an exciting time to be involved and to be around. It's going to be a fun year next year. A lot of history and a lot of cool things are going to come forward. Herbicide mailer. As we've done for the last 7 years, we send out a mailer to every resident that is lakefront or has access to the lake to let them know of our plan to utilize herbicide to keep weeds down in the lake. We didn't have to use herbicide last year. The weeds were almost non-existent, but I think with the mild winter that we had this year, they're going to come about early and probably strong. So anyone who lives on the lake or has lake access will receive this mailer with complete details of the plan that we have. Part-time police academy. The chief of police stated before and has mentioned to the village board he is recommending two potential candidates to go to the police academy, supported and sponsored by the Village of Greenwood Lake, Reynolds and Smith, and the village board will talk about that in our executive session and provide an approval of that at a later date. That is all we have for old and new business. We've got events, Friday night men's basketball, always at the middle school between 8 and 10. Community centers open Tuesdays 4 to 6 for 2nd and 5th graders, as well as Wednesday 6 to 8 for 6th and 8th graders. We've got Celtic Day, Sunday, February 26th at the American Legion from 1 to 5, which is always a fun event. And then we have the Celt of the Year dinner dance, which is honoring Matt and Marie Veth. That is Saturday, March 4th, 2023 at the American Legion as well. And then, of course, the village election, which will take place March 21st, 2023, from 12 p.m. till 9 p.m., and that will be located at the Senior Center, 132 Windermere Avenue. I thought it was 123, but it is 132. And now, at this time, we'll go into any privilege of the floor on any general topic. Anyone who'd like to comment or anything? Nothing? Such an exciting crowd. I think it's because I addressed everything in the agenda. There is nothing to wonder, right? All the answers are out there. All right. Moving on. May I have a motion to pay all audited bills?
I'll make
Go ahead.
the motion.
Second. It's only you and me, so.
Oh,
And I have to vote.
Yep.
Aye.
Okay.
May I have a
Aye.
motion to approve the minutes of the January board meeting?
7th, yep, January 7th.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Resolution number 35 of 2022-2023 appoints part-time police officer Richard Taviter.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 36, I make a motion, authorizes the clerk to make a reduction of half the water charge in the water bill 318-12673 located at 308-4-9. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There are no budget amendments and transfers. Before we adjourn, we will be going into executive session to discuss briefly hiring of potential candidates as well as the police chief's contract. Our next village board meeting will be March 20th, 2023, 6:30 p.m. workshop, followed by a 7:30 p.m. workshop. We will post a public hearing. We still have some more work to do on this addition to the village code, which Attorney Buckite had briefly mentioned. I will post on our village website as well as Facebook page if we intend to have a public hearing prior to that meeting, but chances are there will be a public hearing on the change of the village code to add in stricter language regarding working without a permit and stop work orders within the village. And if that's done, we'll post it, and it'll probably take place at 6 p.m. right before our workshop, which will be located right here in the courthouse. And also, just another note, budget workshop will be March 6th at 6 p.m., and that will be in the village hall, not here in the courthouse. May I have a motion to go into executive session for contractual purposes?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much for joining on Facebook Live, as well as for those of you who are in attendance, and we will see you all next month. Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
You too.
Nope.